Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 97 of The Best Games, period. I'm your host, Jack Gardner, and with me is the ever-awesome Naomi Lugo.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah!
In my ever-awesome voice. Hello.
Yeah! And we are here, as we are on a weekly basis, to talk about a game that could be considered one of the best games of all time, a best game period, a game that belongs in video game canon that everyone should experience if they want to be a well-rounded gamer. Or we might just be here to talk about a really good game. That is really, we'll kind of make arguments for or against, and we'll leave it up to you to decide in our Twitter polls at Best Games, period. And speaking of that, we have last week's results. We're trying a new thing where we actually read it up at the top of the show. Pretty nifty, huh?
Fancy.
And so last week we talked about Stardew Valley. We had a little bit of a disagreement, Naomi and I. And granted, my disagreement was pretty soft. I think it's a pretty great game. I'm just not 100% sure that it rises to the tippy top. But what did our listeners think?
Our fair listeners agreed with me. They were correct. And 65% of you guys said, yeah, Stardew Valley belongs in best game period territory. And 35% of you disagreed. And were wrong. So shame on 35% of you. Just kidding. You
were saying that you're a little surprised at how high that no number is.
I am. I kind of figured that this game would, not unanimously, but maybe 80%, 20%, something like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of it, I think, is that the farming sim genre is very beloved by the people who already love it, but the people who are kind of outside of it are kind of ambivalent. They could take it or leave it, you know. There were always those people who played Harvest Moon and were just kind of it's all right.
Weirdos.
And I think that those people still exist. But the people who love Stardew Valley really, really love it. There's a lot of passion there. And I guess one of the things that was keeping me on the edge all last episode, and it's something that I wasn't able to really articulate until I listened to it all again while I was editing, and it was the question of whether Harvest Moon is one of the Harvest Moon games is kind of the superior farming sim, or if Stardew Valley has kind of taken that crown and kind of perfected what this genre is. And I'm not sure. I'm kind of wibbly wobbly in there, and I think that might be why I'm kind of on the fence about it. But it doesn't matter now because our listeners have spoken, and thank you everyone who participated in the poll. There were quite a lot of respondents this time. Yeah. Welcome Stardew Valley to Best Games period territory.
Woo! Yay! Sorry, I tried to do the cheering crowd, but it kind of just came out silent, so it didn't really work.
It sounded like a lonely gust of wind across a tundra.
I don't know why I can't figure out how to do that noise right now, but I will stop trying because that was pretty pathetic.
Please keep trying.
No,
please.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
I mean, not right now. Just keep trying in the future. I look forward to watching you grow in
Me
this
growing
regard.
my sound effects, they're not very impressive.
So we have that out of the way, but what have you been playing over the last week?
So I have been playing me some God of War. I finally finished Far Cry 5, like a diligent...
Finished your vegetables?
Yes, I finished the vegetables. And the ending was but game overall, very, very fun. I mean, it's kind of par for the course for Far Cry. But God of War, my God. Or, I'm sorry, the game title is now officially Dad of Boy. So
Dad
we'll be
of Boy.
referring to it as such, because dad of boy. Have you played the game at all yet, Jack?
I'm not a huge God of War person.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't either. Like, I enjoyed the games. They're fun, hack and slash, murdering giant creatures, everything. But this game is phenomenal. I was kind of taken aback pretty much before this game came out and we got all the reviews from all the critics. Everyone was blown away. They were saying words like masterpiece already, and that's pretty rare. You know, game critics are a pretty cynical bunch a lot of the time. We don't like to give out the, you know, gold standard right away, but every platform pretty much, or every, what's the word? Every media place. Oh my god.
Yeah. Platform works.
Platform, yes.
Outlet.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Was saying that this game was breathtaking masterpiece. So I was like, okay, whatever, sure. I mean, I got pretty hyped seeing all the trailers. It was well marketed for a while there, but I wasn't really expecting, you know, wonderful. I was just expecting another God of War game, but my god, it surpasses my expectations very, very much. It is astounding gameplay wise, story wise, visuals, graphics, all of the above. I'm just a little bit over halfway done with the game, so I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it, but so far it has been so much fun. And the voice actor for this new Kratos is awesome. He has a booming voice, and Kratos is a man of few words, and I wish he talked more just so I could hear that lovely, lovely voice some more.
The name of the actor escapes me, but
he was in...
I'm a big fan of Stargate SG-1,
yes.
And so seeing Teal'c get work again... I mean, I'm sure he's been working this entire time. It's not like he's been out of work and finally he's become the God of War. But seeing him in something that is on my radar again makes me really happy. That guy is great, and I just wish he was in more things that I knew about and was passionate about.
And his name is Christopher Judge.
Yeah, Christopher Judge.
And he does a phenomenal job as Kratos. He does such good work. I mean, all of the voice acting is pretty awesome in this game. So, yeah.
Okay, well, it is, out of all of the God of War games that I've seen over the years, this is the one where I look at it and I'm like, I could probably get behind this. I could probably enjoy that. One of the things that turned me off of the previous God of War games, and I think this came up in our God of War episode a while back, is just how it all seems so one note. On the internet, I see so many angry dudes who have been wronged, and therefore they are gonna like Hulk out and like you know, do whatever the internet version of hulking out is. That seeing Kratos in a game is just kind of like, eh.
Well, that's the thing about this game, is it tackles all of that, like, toxic masculinity, or relationships between men and their sons, and father and kids and their fathers. Like, it is awesome. It is really tackling a lot of stuff that I didn't expect it to. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I was not really the hugest fan of God of War 2. I mean, you're just playing another violent, murderous campaign against everything, where you just have to murder everything. So I was like, it's fun, but I don't really just like destroying stuff for the sake of destroying stuff. So, but this game really makes you think and makes you consider the relationships. And Kratos he feels really bad about who he was, because in this game he's in a completely different realm. He's in Norse mythology versus Greek, so he's trying to escape his past in this game.
Yeah. Well, that sounds really interesting, and you have piqued my interest. I look forward to hearing your full thoughts once you've finished it.
Yes. And if you need another selling point,
okay,
Kratos will still tell boy stories when they are riding around in boat. So if you want to hear Kratos story time, you must play this game.
Cute.
Yes.
All right. As for me, I finally finished playing through The Forest. I reached its climactic conclusion, which was interesting to say the least. I'm not sure it entirely worked for me, but it at least had some more going on than I thought it did. Some interesting risks were taken, and I look forward to seeing kind of where this game goes, where the developers go after this. And you check out the forest if you have some money to burn and you're looking for a good time. Preferably like get like a group of like 4 to 6 friends with you and just kind of dink around, explore, figure out the world, have a good time.
How many hours did you play?
I have put a lot of hours. I have about 60 hours in the game.
Okay. That's decent, yeah.
Yeah. And it's very much well, it's actually kind of related to the topic this week, where you are thrust into a hostile world and you have to fight to survive and get food, and as you kind of learn the ropes, you figure out how to craft things and make defenses and survive. And eventually, once you kind of have your base of operations, you can push out into the wider world and go exploring into dark caves and find valuable resources that you can't get anywhere else. So there are a lot of similarities between the forest and Minecraft. It's just that the forest is much more of a realistic take on that entire situation versus Minecraft that has a more accessible, friendly take on survival.
So, spoiler alert for the game we're going to be discussing this week. And what game would that be, Jack?
It's Minecraft.
Whoa! Out of nowhere, left field. Who would have thunk it?
I'm sure you wouldn't have figured that out from the title of this podcast episode.
That either.
But yeah, we're tackling Minecraft, which is arguably one of the biggest games of all time, and also one of the biggest games, certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, modern game. And I feel like that's a fair assessment, and I also feel like there are some people who would kind of balk at my characterization of Minecraft in that way. But I have never heard of any gaming property being sold for literally billions of dollars.
Yeah, and I think I saw a crazy stat, like it's the 10th biggest game in terms of sales of all time, something like that. So, goodness.
Yeah, and I think at least some of those games were bundled with, like, hardware.
Like because there's a Xbox Minecraft edition, and there's so many.
Oh no! I mean like Nintendo would launch like the Wii with Wii Sports.
By
some metrics, that's made out to be one of the best-selling games of all time. When really it came with every Wii that was sold. Like if that makes sense. So,
yeah, definitely.
What I'm saying is that the Minecraft wasn't necessarily intended to be that way. Eventually it grew to be a big enough phenomenon that it was bundled with some systems, but not every single Xbox 360 was sold with a copy of Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things preparing for this episode had me wondering, how do we even start talking about Minecraft? Because it is so
it's open-ended.
big.
Yes, and infinite, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, both literally the game, but also, like, everything around the game, like the context of Minecraft.
Well, I guess we can talk about the different ways to play Minecraft, because, I mean, I've played a ton of Minecraft, but it took me a little bit to refresh on all of the stuff that is in this game. So there's, of course, creative mode, where you can build to whatever dimension you want. There's survival. And then there's kind of story modes, or what's it called? Adventure mode, excuse me. And then within that, you get a bunch of different elements to play with. There's different biomes, there's different crafting mechanics. A huge piece of it is the red blocks. You know, there's just so much. And like we said, this game is infinite, in that it relies on what you want to do in the game. Like, sure, there's a survival mode and your mission is to survive, but you can pretty much go creatively however you want in that mode as well.
Minecraft is very much a game that challenges players to kind of come up with their own reason for playing. And it provides like different support for different ways of playing and different approaches to its world. Like if you're the kind of person who needs a story or an end goal, there is one there in Minecraft. There is something to work towards. If you're the kind of person who likes to struggle against adversity and kind of forge an empire with your bare hands, you can do that too. It takes a long time, but you can do it. And if you're the kind of person who just wants to build whatever your imagination can come up with, that's also there in Minecraft. And I think that openness to that variety of interaction is what makes Minecraft such an appealing game and such an appealing experience to people of all ages. Like, I remember this game in beta. My friends in college came up to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're playing this game. It's called Minecraft." And they explained it to me and it sounded dumb. And I was not interested in it at all. And it wasn't until like a year later when it came out of the beta and officially released that I finally was like, well, you know, I'll give it a shot. We'll see what this is like. And I got completely absorbed into this world full of blocks that you can break with your bare hands and upgrading your tools and surviving and trying to kind of keep your stuff safe from all these hostile creatures that are out to get you or destroy everything you love with one well-timed explosion.
Creeper.
And I guess if you don't know what Minecraft is, essentially you are a block person thrust into a block world where everything is made out of blocks, and you can break these blocks to get different materials that you can use to make different kinds of blocks. And different blocks have different attributes and abilities and properties, and you use these blocks to create a variety of structures and maybe traps for the blocky monsters that appear, or if you're playing online, maybe traps against other players or defenses, or you can use them to make weapons and better gear, so you can go adventuring into various dungeons or mines or what have you. Like it's just a sprawling game, and part of the appeal, and one of the core features, is that you can go, at least on PC, you can go in any direction basically forever. There is a point at which the algorithm that creates the Minecraft world begins to break down, and I believe that place is called like the Far Realm or something. And it's basically where like just land masses get spawned in ever increasing densities and like crazy configurations, and things don't work the way they're supposed to anymore. And that's just, but in order to get there, you would have to either teleport or literally walk in a straight line for in real time, like 400 years or something ridiculous.
So, Jack.
Yes.
Are you more of a survival player or a creative player?
I am more of a survival player if I'm playing with other people. One of the things I got into late in my Minecraft career, I say as if I made money doing it, was just I would like playing on online servers with my friends and just kind of, you know, all of us building our own things together and just seeing what we could all make and like trying to impress each other. And one of the things we fell into was building little self-contained adventures for one another. And so we would make these dungeons, and it'd be like, okay, you start at the dungeon, you have a wooden sword, and that's it. Now go. And you'd have to like use only resources you got in chests. You couldn't break any blocks. And so you'd be dealing with a variety of traps, and at the end of all of it would be like a special item, like something rare. Like in the game, there are these skeletons that are all black, and those skeletons are called wither skeletons, and if you collect 3 of their heads, you can summon a horrifying flying dragon monster that fires its own heads at things and explodes everything. It's awful and terrible and exciting, but we would use those heads as kind of prizes for getting through these dungeons. So when we got to that point, and a little bit later on, I started using creative mode to make more impressive dungeons and more exciting things. So mostly survival, a little bit creative.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely merits in both. I mean, survival just tends to lend itself more to the multiplayer, and, you know, single player is more creative, I think, for me, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're more of a creative player?
Yeah, well, see, when I'm even playing survival, my goal is to make the best structures possible. Survival just kind of acts as a challenge towards that. You know, it's way more impressive to be able to build, like, a white castle made of quartz in survival than it is creative, obviously, because you have to go and get to the nether to get the quartz, and then get enough quartz to build a castle, you know? So that was my favorite way to play. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for the feeling of accomplishment for working for all of the materials you use to make things. Because in creative, you can just summon any kind of block out of thin air. You don't have to go and get it from a specific location.
But I like that challenge. Yeah. I like having to get to the point where I can build another portal and then be strong enough to, you know, go against all the enemies in the nether and be able to gather all of that stuff. That's what appeals to me about that.
And the nether is basically this hellish realm of fire and brimstone and terrifying monsters that shoot fireballs or are fire. It's pretty great, especially because you don't even know that it really exists. Well, backing up a little bit, one of the things I loved about Minecraft when I was just starting out was figuring out all of these things you could do. And now you can go online and there's very exhaustive wikis that will teach you everything you've ever wanted to know about the game. And it's the ability to create things in Minecraft is absolutely ridiculous. To the point where you cannot wrap your head around it if you do not have, like, electrical engineering degrees.
Yeah, redstone blows my mind. I don't really... Well, I've used it a little bit, but it's been, like, through Minecraft-specific tutorials, but other than that, I commend people who use it freely, creatively, but I'm just not that kind of person.
Yeah, and to give you some basis, dear listener, of how ridiculous people can get with Minecraft, you will see stories from time to time crop up on gaming news sites about the crazy things that people have done with redstone or just putting blocks together in different ways. And to give you an example, there are people who have built fully functional computers within Minecraft using only the blocks that Minecraft gives you. So you are essentially running a game on a computer that is simulating a world in which you have built a simulated computer that is then doing its own thing within all of that. And that blows my mind. But on top of that, there are people who have created entire games within that framework. And for example, you can play Pokemon Red in Minecraft. Somebody made a Game Boy, a functional Game Boy in Minecraft that plays Pokemon Red. And that's insane. Like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, I mean, the computer thing's really impressive, because the most impressive thing I've seen was, like, someone made a Tetris game, like 3D physical Tetris game that they could play. So that's absolutely wild. But I think one of the reasons, and we've been kind of touching on this, is the reasons why this game is one of the best games, period, for me, is that open-endedness. Like, if you want, you could just go pure survival and just explore the world and build a great fort and, you know, make a farm and just be all set in survival. Or you could go crazy and go blow up sheep if you wanted to. Or you could create computers and Game Boys within the game. Like, it is entirely up to you. And then just adding multiplayer into that, you get so many more elements with your friends playing with you.
Yeah. So it's that infinite series of possibilities, and as the game grew, more and more people started sharing what they had made with Minecraft. And so while my friends and I were making our own little adventures, you could go out online and download an entire, like, dungeon adventure complete with NPCs that had dialogue and signs that told a story as you progressed through the world. And it just became crazy. And then along with that arose this entire YouTube industry and Let's Play industry around Minecraft that persists to this day. And to give you an idea of how popular these people have become by playing Minecraft on YouTube, you can literally buy lines of action figures based on YouTube people who play Minecraft. I've seen those for sale in Barnes & Noble and other toy stores and places that I have been, and it blows my mind every time I see that.
Yeah, that is pretty insane.
I just got worked up. I need to calm down.
Like, I mean, I'm always at a loss for words here because there's just so much to cover. I mean, like you said, Jack, people have been creating these amazing things. Like, I have downloaded maps of, like, Westeros. Someone made the entirety of Westeros in Minecraft with mods, and it looked like I had so much fun just flying around this map, seeing how these people were able to make such a massive thing. Like, these, I mean, there are ways to, you know, program building, but you still have to put in a lot of work to do this, to create these designs. So there's just so much wonder through that. It's like what people are able to do with Legos almost, because Legos have evolved from just playful blocks to really intricate engineering tools as well. Like, whenever there's a new skin out, there's a ton of skins, official skins from Minecraft. Like, there's a Mass Effect one, there's an Adventure Time skin. Like, every time those come out, I will download it and just fly around the world just to see the different ways that the Minecraft landscape can look. Like, there is, I think one of my favorite ones was a Greek mythology map, and it's a contained world, so it's not infinite when they create these maps, but they created different parts of Greek mythology. Like, it's just really cool. And then when they do those skins, you get different textures and all that, so it matches the theme. So, like, the animals will turn into, you know, different things. Like, I think the dog in the Greek mythology becomes the three-headed dog, and I can't remember his name.
Cerberus.
Yeah, Cerberus. So you'll see Cerberus walking around, or the sheep will look more Greek, and it's just what I find so captivating about all this creativity is it's just I think it's because it's beyond what I can comprehend in this game, or at least what I will dedicate my time to do. It's amazing to see how far people will take this engine, and what they're able to do with it, and that's what I really appreciate about this game.
Well, so there's that aspect, definitely, and I think part of what impresses me the most about it is that the creativity that people bring to bear on Minecraft is unlike anything I have ever seen in any other game. And part of that is the openness of the tools that Minecraft provides players. And I think the other part is that creativity thrives under constraints. And Minecraft certainly has constraints when it comes to visuals, when it comes to, you know, gameplay mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But I think that those constraints make it easier for people who want to make a skin, for example, manage that, because you are able to do that using pixel art. If you want to change the properties of blocks to make something new or look different, you can figure that out, and that is a manageable task, and you can kind of see how someone could tackle one of those tasks, and then another one, and then another one, and each one is bite-sized on its own. And so it's led, I believe, a lot of younger gamers to kind of get into game dev, or even older people who have always wanted to kind of build their own stuff have been able to get into Minecraft and make something new out of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool. I have a lot of respect for the game and for the people who have poured so much of their lives into making it into all these crazy different things. Like, and I could keep going on this for a while, but I just want to mention one more thing, and that's Minecraft has even been adapted to be an educational tool, both in classrooms for young kids, but also for college students. You have there's an entire program of Minecraft in which Minecraft is able to get across concepts in quantum mechanics, stuff that's really difficult to kind of wrap your brain around. And Minecraft has become a tool for professors and teachers to kind of run students through what these complex physical interactions are. And that's amazing.
Yes. Because I couldn't even fathom learning about that, but Minecraft somehow just makes it more accessible to me. So another reason why I think this game kind of goes beyond and becomes one of the best games is that you can stop playing it forever, but if you go back to it again, it'll take your life away. It's a game. I mean, Stardew does that for me. So it's kind of in the same frame as that. Another game like Don't Starve is kind of that kind of game where it's up to you to decide how you're going to play the game, and then the game will take your soul, pretty much. I need to find like a German word for that phenomenon where the game will... You can walk away from the game, but it'll never leave you, ever.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So what I feel like we've kind of covered the game itself, which I mean we could talk about endlessly and probably come up with a myriad of new ways to say this is pretty great. This is a great series of tools. This is a great game by itself. What about the stuff around the game? Because, again, this is something that has grown to be something bigger than just a game, and I feel like we should probably take a look at that stuff as well. Especially because, like, with Super Mario, for example, you have a series of games that stretches back decades, and you have so many different games that you kind of can crawl into the nitty-gritty details of each one and find new and different things. With Minecraft, we just have Minecraft. There's no Minecraft 2 yet. We do have some spin-offs like Minecraft Story Mode, which is kind of its own thing. And part of what makes it harder to dig into Minecraft is that each person kind of makes Minecraft their own. So I feel like examining the context of Minecraft is both easier when you're comparing it against something like the context of Mario, because you're looking at the context of something that's existed for 30 years and has become so like prevalent in not just gaming society, but society in general. But with Minecraft, we can kind of wrap our minds around it, right? Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of. I guess my brain is not able to comprehend that, but we shall persist and we shall try. I think the fact that we're kind of at a loss to describe why it's so significant kind of proves it in a way. You know, it's so hard to nail down because it's become such a huge part of not only gaming culture, but culture in general, that it's reached a godlike status. We'll just say that.
Well, I mean, it's the thing that kind of kicked off sandbox survival.
Yeah, definitely. There's been so many different clones, yes, but there have been games that have also been inspired by Minecraft and have been made better because it exists, or exist at all because this game, you know, came about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that Minecraft is the reason that crafting has become like an almost omnipresent part of the games we play, but I'd argue it's certainly a big part of why it is.
Yes.
Mechanics tend to work that way when something is incredibly successful. And I guess we've one thing I want to bring up is that Minecraft isn't the first game that did the building and the crafting stuff that it is known for. That credit should go to another game called Infiniminer, which released prior to Minecraft and serves as one of its major inspirations. And unfortunately, Infiniminer had a data breach while it was being developed after the first kind of build of the game was released to the public. And after that, the developer, which is Zachtronics, they just stopped working on the game because it was just kind of like, well, you know, whatever. We'll be done. We'll be done with this.
Yeah, and if you look at Infiniminer, you can see definite similarities there. You have the same kind of block-like pixel forms. You are, and I remember you're mining a lot of the time. Like, there's more of an emphasis on mining, right, with Infiniminer. Well, obviously, it's in the name, but
yeah,
yeah.
The major difference between Infiniminer and Minecraft is that Minecraft has more RPG elements to it, and kind of that aspect. I don't think Infiniminer had kind of that goal in mind. It was mostly just the crafting and the building.
Yeah, it was more of a sim, I guess, than Minecraft is.
But you can see how similar they are.
Yes.
Like with the blocks and that kind of aesthetic, which I seem to remember having become like a big, not a big deal, but there were some cries in the industry that maybe Marcus Pearson, Notch, had ripped off Infiniminer and kind of, you know, since they weren't working on it, he was going to make his own version of Infiniminer. And it's really hard to compare them in retrospect.
Yeah. But I mean, if, like you said, it's hard to see, or it's hard to not see those similarities and where Minecraft would have branched off from it. It's pretty blatant there.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's by no means like a singular event in the gaming industry. This
not at all
happens all the time, but there was obviously something about Minecraft that really connected people in a way that Infiniminer did not.
Well, yeah, and it's like you said, it's the RPG elements. I mean, that's what got me into the game, is I liked being able to build up my character and build my story. But then also, Minecraft has been diligent about updates. Like, updates in Minecraft are significant. There's a cool video that Mojang put out a little bit ago, or not a little bit ago, that shows the evolution, and they go through all of the different updates that Minecraft has undergone. And
was that the documentary about Minecraft?
No, this is a video by Mojang, and it's only like 10 minutes long or something. It's on their YouTube channel if you want to look it up. But it kind of blew my mind thinking back to what Minecraft didn't have when it started, if that makes sense. Like, there's been so many things that kind of, when they come out, they're significant and they're amazing. Like, I want to go find a llama right now. Where's the donkey? Let's go. But then they just kind of blend into the background and become integral to the entire game, which I think is fantastic game design. So that's, I guess that's another way that they've kept the game kind of fresh, or at least they've been able to just improve the game over time due to that. And they do it very well. Like the Nether and the Ender Dragon quest wasn't in there, and it's only been there for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Because this game came out in 2009, and that's a pretty huge part of the game. Like it's in effect the end game, even though this game kind of doesn't have one. I don't know. When I played the game, and I played it for big spans of time, those updates always brought me back to explore the world and then fall in love again and get sucked in and lose part of my soul again. So that was very effective on their part.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I would say it's maybe the poster child for how game developers if you're going to support your game post-release, Minecraft is like the ideal, but it's also maybe not something that every developer can pull off, just because Minecraft released and then it had 5 years of free updates.
Yes, and they were bought by Microsoft. Like, I mean, Microsoft definitely has enough money to support Minecraft. So
yeah, and it was interesting to see that Microsoft didn't immediately pull Minecraft from every other system. Like, it's weird to me that one of Microsoft's intellectual properties released on the Switch. It released on the PlayStation 4. It released on its competition.
Yeah.
That's pretty unique.
And they've been trying to tie it into Windows. I don't know if they're able to do crossplay now. It's been a thing that's been a long time in the making. But there's the potential for PC players to play with Xbox players. Like, that's awesome. Whenever I've tried it, it hasn't worked, but hopefully by now they fixed it. So at least they're trying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're nearing almost to the point where we should be almost wrapping up, but I feel like we have only just scratched the surface.
Yes.
So one of the elephants in the room, I guess, is Notch Pearson himself, which is he's a controversial figure, to say the least, in gaming.
Yes. And how to describe Notch and his Twitter. There's been several incidents where he could be called sexist, racist.
Some might say should be called sexist.
Yes. Pretty much, he's covered a pretty wide pantheon of offensive tweets. And he is officially separated from Minecraft, but he is still the creator, so his legacy is still tied in. And having his figure, like who he is now, I think it's so important because this game appeals to such a large fan base. Like, there are plenty of kids who play this game. Like, it is.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's
this
crazy.
this is a game for kiddo. Like, it's not a kids game, but this is a game that has a wide appeal for kids. So for Notch to be so controversial, I think that's why it is so important, or at least it's so noteworthy, is because he has this wide reach that can affect these kiddos. Like, they can see
also,
that not just
he's a billionaire. Like,
yes,
it's
yes.
not like he's without power.
Yes. Oh my god. So Notch. So I mean, but does the man tarnish the game at all. I mean, it's so hard to tie them together anymore, for me at least. Notch is his own thing now to me. I know there's a lot of people who don't feel the same, and I'm probably doing that just because I don't want to ruin Minecraft for myself.
Well,
but,
no, I think there is a very... It's one of the things that always happens when someone who has objective, like, qualities that some people would describe as bad, make something that a lot of people like.
Let's say Kanye West. It is hard to separate the man from the music. But I mean, that one's also different because Kanye is still very much attached to his musical persona.
Right.
Like, we're not judging who Kanye is now versus his first album or anything. So I think that's what kind of makes it more distant to me.
I mean, there's also the element of, like, for example, Disney. Walt Disney was known for supporting some controversial topics. Like I don't remember exactly. There was some... I know there's the urban legend that he was a supporter of, like, the Nazis. I don't think that that's 100% true from what I've read, but I also...
But there's still a troubling legacy... to something that is,
there's the troubling legacy of, like, exploiting his workforce 100% and, like, shady business tactics, like the tactic he used to found Walt Disney World. He is not an innocent person. He did some shady stuff. And so is it still okay to enjoy Disney films? I would say yes. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, so...
Yeah, exactly.
As the saying goes.
That's where my brain decides to be like, you go away, let me enjoy The Little Mermaid without thinking about Walt Disney frozen under Disneyland in hatred. But of course, it's kind of irresponsible, like you said, to completely ignore those things, but... I mean, Notch is this billionaire on his hill. How do we hold him accountable for these things he says, which might be fueled, like he might be fueled to say these things because he is in such a huge position of power that separates him from the wee folk, such as ourselves. Like, it's...
Well, we can't.
Exactly.
That's the horrible truth about capitalism, is that he has literally billions of dollars, and... he is also no longer directly attached to Minecraft, so it's not like you can boycott Notch in any meaningful way. So, there's not really anything we can do about it. But I think what we can do is say, hey, it's one of those things that I think is one of the hardest lessons to learn as an adult, is that, hey, people can be jerks and also do good things.
They can create good art and not be great people.
Yeah. That is true for so many artists. Like, I don't know, it'd be like... I guess for me, sometimes this argument is like, well, Van Gogh was terrible with women and clearly a crazy person, and so, you know, we can't enjoy his art because that would mean we're endorsing craziness and violence because he cut off his own ear. You know, like, there are some arguments that are just kind of like, well, what are you gonna, like, what is the difference between enjoying his art and not enjoying it? And there are some cases, like, for example, with Kanye West, where it's like, if you don't agree with Kanye West, you can decide not to buy his music, and that has a direct consequence for his actions. But that's not something you can always do, which is a perfect example with Notch. Like, if you don't buy Minecraft, it doesn't matter to Notch anymore because he's not connected to Minecraft anymore.
Yeah, and he's already got the power. But, I mean, the worst thing that we could ever do is just forget about it and not talk about it.
Right.
So, I mean, we always have that responsibility to acknowledge it, at least. We might not have the means to do anything about it at this point, but at least having the gaming community be aware and acknowledge what is happening is at least something. It's a step that we can take.
And I mean, G.I. Joe had this down pat, and knowing is half the battle. Like, it's important to recognize when there are things that are not above board and not right. And it's okay to realize that and still enjoy a thing that might be related to that tangentially. Or, you know what? Even when it comes to problematic movies, you can watch a movie and enjoy it and still recognize that it has some underlying problems in its messaging or themes. Yeah. It's being able to analyze it and look at it and recognize that it has problems, accept that, and maybe do something constructive with that acceptance that I think is important.
Yes. Thus is the job of the critic, right? And now I'm just thinking of all the artists who have created great things that are just, oh man.
It's almost like every person has some kind of inherent flaws. Some inherent flaws that...
And then when they get success, they become monsters. Anyway, let's not go down that dark rabbit hole, right?
Wait, are we going to become monsters if more people listen to our podcast?
People, stop the podcast right now. Don't ever support us. Keep us pure.
I think the transformation is starting.
Get off Twitter right now, Jack.
I can't. I'm a monster already.
That being said, there are also fantastic people who use their platform for good, and we need more of that in the world.
Yeah. So Minecraft.
Is it a best game period for you, Jack?
I think it is impossible if you're giving like a level objective as anyone can be about art and its impact on society. I think that it's a crime to say that it's not one of the best games, period. Like it hit the gaming industry like an atomic bomb. There's a reason Microsoft paid $2.5 billion for it. And it's just one of the biggest indie success stories of all time. A single game developer building up code by themselves and slowly kind of growing into a bigger company and releasing this thing that just explodes. And that's pretty incredible. There's a part of me that thinks we're probably never going to see something like that again in the game industry. Maybe there'll be something like that for VR, but for conventional games, I'm not sure that we'll ever see something that big and revolutionary again. And maybe that's hyperbole on my part, but...
So you're almost saying that this was, like, the defining game of... how do I word this? I guess modern gaming? Like,
I mean,
360 on? Or...
I mean, I point towards Minecraft for kickstarting the Let's Play industry.
Okay.
Which existed prior to it.
So more like gaming culture as it is now. So like the last 10 years.
Yeah, well, like the last 10 years or so. Like, I feel like it jump-started the Let's Plays, which had been around before, but weren't nearly as popular. You can literally... I think on like Amazon or Hulu or Netflix, there are shows where people play Minecraft, and I know that because my nephews and niece I've seen them watch those shows.
I might have watched a few hundred episodes of a certain channel playing Minecraft, maybe.
Yeah, it made this a popular, viable thing. Like, it created this entire...
It's an industry. Let's
Play
is 100% an industry.
Yeah. And you have that aspect. Then you have the impact that the mechanics and the gameplay have had on all the other games that have come after it. And like even the game that I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that I just beat, The Forest, certainly I feel owes some things to Minecraft. It's just the influence and impact that Minecraft has had is hard to overstate. And for that reason, to me, it certainly is. I'm not sure that I have any good arguments for why it shouldn't be considered one of the best games, period.
Well, it's like you said, it's objectively, you can't ignore it. It is objectively one of the best games of all time because of all those factors you've said. Like, you can't, like, have a gaming textbook made in the next few years that does not include Minecraft.
I mean, even just if you think about what game came out 9, almost 10 years ago and is still played and enjoyed by kids who weren't alive when it came out.
Oh, creepy.
And like my nephews and niece obsess over Minecraft. They think it's amazing. And the oldest one wasn't even born when this game released to the public. And I don't think you see many games like that. And it's not just limited to my nephews and niece. You have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids obsessed with this game. And it is 9 to 10 years later. You have entire shows on Netflix dedicated to this game. You have an entire industry dedicated to this game. It's and that's not an accident. That's not just something that happened like whoopsie daisy.
Oops, I created a game that changed all of gaming and pop culture forever. My bad. I wish I would have an accident like that. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like slipping on the road and falling into like a Scrooge McDuck style vault of money hidden under the ground. But then it turns out you were destined your entire life to fall into that vault of money.
This is a great metaphor.
I know it's a terrible metaphor. I'm regretting it immensely with the farther I get into it. But yes, for me, it is a best game, period. And I hope that if this podcast gains more listeners and more people go to our Patreon and donate, please, that we don't become monsters.
I will try. We'll keep each other, in check, right?
Yeah.
If I see you going crazy on Twitter, I'll say, no, you stop that right now.
I'll hoard my silver bullets.
Oh, God. But yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have made that joke in this political climate.
Sorry. I mean, you should be. See, it's already happening, Jack. I mean, I agree 100%. Like, this game cannot be, even if I hated it, it'd be hard to ignore its impact. So it is a best game, period, for me. But there are people who disagree with us. And we have a review on Metacritic from a one Viral Killsbrain. Great name. And this was written on December 8th, 2011. And they say, a game in which you play as a generic block guy and run around randomly generated world full of blocks. Your aim is to collect blocks and stack them. If you're an imaginative person, you can quite possibly pretend that the game is an amazing adventure. Reality suggests otherwise. Buggy, horrible graphics, horrible AI, rushed final release. Meanwhile, the creator is a multimillionaire who's passive-aggressively abusing people on Twitter, takes more vacations than he actually works, and abandons the game upon release. Boom. I mean, he's got some valid points there. Or they have some valid points there.
With a few updates, that's still accurate.
Yes.
To its creator.
I just like the idea of, Notch on a hill. I'm picturing like, what's the movie? Citizen Kane. I'm picturing him like Citizen Kane up on his hill on a laptop in the dark, typing away with like a menacing green light. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
what would be his rosebud?
Oh God. I'm sure it'd be something very sick and sinister. Or, something very obvious like, let's say a creeper plushie. Yeah, that'll be his rosebud. Because, I mean, the creepers were a glitch, you know? So maybe that's the start. Anything else about Minecraft? Oh, I do have one more thing.
Oh.
And this is kind of random, but the music in this game is amazing. The sound effects also are so satisfying. When you get hit by an enemy, even that noise, oh my gosh, it's awesome. But the music, it's surreal and relaxing. Like I need to still, and I've been saying this for years, I need to get that soundtrack so I can play it as like my ocean wave noises while I sleep. Because it's so awesome. Like I would, in college, I would just play that as my concentration music. I just, it's great to zone out too. Or I guess that kind of contradicts itself, doesn't it? Hurry up and concentrate and zone out. But anyway.
Yeah, C418 is a great artist. I encourage everyone to check out his latest album, which is... I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Dief, Dief, released last year. He's a talented guy. His actual name is Daniel Rosenfeld. He's well known for his chiptune and electronic work. In a strangely recurring thing, he did some music for some part of Stranger Things, I think.
Interesting.
Which is, I think we talked about another composer recently on an episode that also worked on Stranger Things. So, weird. Yeah. So we got 2 yeses. We would love to hear from the rest of you. Please let us know what you think of Minecraft, or as I like to say it sometimes, Minecraft. And you can find us over on Twitter at bestgamesperiod. We will put out a poll when this episode goes live, and that should be on a Monday. And I don't know why I was about to tell you like when this episode would go live, because obviously by the time you listen to this,
I think they figured it out.
Yeah.
If you gotten to this point, you're doing good.
So you can find us on Twitter at bestgamesperiod. We are also on Patreon, patreon.com/bestgamesperiod, where we appreciate it if you throw us $1 every month. It helps us keep the podcast going, and it's just really helpful. Surprisingly, just that $1 every month really helps us out.
We would love you forever.
Yes, and longer. If you Infinite. Much like Minecraft's world. We will love you that long. If you choose to donate $1 per month, you can get access to unique episodes that are special to our backers, regardless of how much you back us. So $1 is great. On top of that, you can find every episode when we post it on Mondays on GameInformer.com and Extra Life. And if you haven't heard of Extra Life before, it is a wonderful charity that helps sick and injured kids across the United States and Canada, and it's a wonderful nonprofit that you can learn more about at extra-life.org. I encourage everyone to go there and sign up, and when you sign up, you can actually choose which Children's Miracle Network hospital you want to support, and 100% of everything you raise goes directly to that hospital to help those sick and injured kids. It's really a wonderful thing. And if you want to get more involved in the community, you can actually head to community.extra-life, where you can find various members of the Extra Life community, maybe even some people around you that you can connect with and fundraise with. And you also find a bunch of awesome articles about games and this very podcast. And that is over at community.extra-life.org. And with that, am I missing anything?
Well, I heard from a little birdie that we might be getting a fancy new look soon, so stay tuned for that, guys. That'll be awesome.
For sure. And we're coming up to episode 100, and I hope we can do something really special for that. I'm excited. And with that, next week we should have a special guest, or perhaps 2 special guests, you never know, to talk about a classic game. And if you follow us on Twitter, you might get some hints as to what that game might be. So head on over to @bestgamesperiod to get those hints and guess the game. And maybe if you guess it, we'll send you something cool, something game-like. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. So
we'll draw you pictures of Pikachu and send them. I promise it'll be way cooler than that. Although my freehand Pikachu is pretty horrible. You've said it. You committed to it already. It's a thing you're gonna be doing. Okay. Pikachu from memory.
How bad is your memory? I think you know what Pikachu looks like.
I know what Pikachu looks like, but Pikachu is actually kind of hard to draw. Okay, it's Pikachu's eyes that throw me off every single time. Like, I'll get the shape. Yeah, it'll be kind of blobby, but passable. But then I draw the eyes, and it's like, oh my god. No, like, for some reason, Pikachu's eyes are just escapable for me. I can't. Anyway.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening and sticking around through this kind of rambly episode. I know it wasn't super focused. I hope you'll understand why Minecraft is just such a huge topic. And with that, do you have any last words, Naomi?
Nope. Love you, listeners. You're the best.
You're the best. Top of the morning to y'all.
Y'all.
And with that, we'll see you on the flippity dippity.